Well, the standout game in the midweek round of Premier League matches takes place on Wednesday evening at Anfield. It's the Merseyside derby between Liverpool and Everton. Contrasting form of these two teams, of course, going into this match. 20 years since Everton last won a competitive game at Anfield. Aidan here to my right-hand side will be fighting the corner of the red half of Merseyside. Tom here on the left will be fighting the blue corner. And any suggestions that there could be a shock result, of course, at Anfield on Wednesday night. Let's start off with Liverpool then, Aidan. They go into this still unbeaten, of course, in the league, top of the table. The last thing that they'll want to do is their local rivals to scupper that run.
Of course, it's an incredible run that Liverpool have got, both this season and generally at Anfield. Not lost at Anfield in the league since April 2017. Now, we're saying it week in, week out that maybe Liverpool aren't quite playing at their best this season. I think that's certainly true. It was true at the weekend against Brighton, but again, they ground out the win 2-1. It may be another grind against Everton on Wednesday, to be honest, because Everton are going to come with a game plan to try and frustrate Liverpool. It probably won't be free-flowing, the amount of games that have been played at the minute. So many games for Liverpool in particular in December. But I just can't see Liverpool slipping up. They have a mentality where they keep going to the end, and it might not be pretty, but I think Liverpool will once again get the job done.
It's 4-11, by the way, for the home side to win. That's how big of favourites they are in this game. 4-1 the draw, and Everton are as big as 15-2, Tom. You can understand why, bearing in mind their form, but it was a better performance at the weekend against Leicester, which almost got them a point.
Well, that's it. If we just look at results of the two sides, Liverpool keep winning, Everton are losing, then it looks like it should be a home win, but you've got to look a little bit deeper than that. Liverpool, Aidan mentioned there, they've just about been getting over the line. They've been getting away with it to a certain degree and are perhaps due a slip-up. Whereas Everton, we saw vastly improved performance against Leicester last time out. Very unlucky not to get at least a point from that game. And they'll be really up for this derby match. Liverpool, no Alisson, he's suspended in goal. Adrian will come in. Fabinho's out injured, so they're weakened. That spine that we've become so accustomed to is a lot weaker than it has been. And I think Everton can exploit that. They've got players with a point to prove, starting to come back to form. And I really do think the Toffees have a chance. They seem to want to continue playing for Marco Silva, who needs a result more than anyone coming into these Premier League fixtures. So for me, I think Everton can get the job done.
Well, I have to say, at the moment, I'm sort of torn between the two. I think Liverpool, understandably, are favourites to win this game, bearing in mind recent form. I get what Tom says as well about Marco Silva and the players desperately needing a win themselves, and with Liverpool's spine of the team missing, there is an opportunity for them there. I'm just going to edge towards Liverpool from favouritism perspective, but I do think the draw looks good value as well at 4-1. I don't think either team will be too disappointed with that if it finished in a draw at Anfield on Wednesday night. Let's have a look now at potential player bets then for midweek. We always look at the front three. It tends to be, Aidan, in terms of potential goals for Liverpool. Are we looking in the same direction? Possibly, depending on what formation and team that Jurgen Klopp goes for. My pick actually is Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain to score on the night. Now, you can get about 14-5 on him. He's been in good form this season, hasn't yet scored in the league, but he's scored 4 goals in other competitions in Europe and the League Cup, and he's been getting starts for Liverpool recently. Started the last 2 league games. Much of it will depend on whether Klopp decides to rotate things a little bit, but even if he starts on the bench, the chances of him coming on for the last 15-20 minutes and being a goal threat, I think is, you know, a real option, and I just think there's a bit of value in that. He's certainly back to his full fitness now, Oxlade-Chamberlain. He's a real threat going forward. There's doubts over Salah's fitness. He's got this ankle injury that I think he is carrying at the minute. It wouldn't be a surprise, actually, to see Klopp rotating a bit and actually maybe starting Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain instead of somebody like Salah because of that injury risk. And I just think at 14-5, he's a good value to score any time across the 90 minutes. OK, what about Everton then, Tom? Are we thinking about potential Richarlison after scoring at the weekend?
Yeah, he's the obvious candidate, and it was a really good goal-headed strike he scored against Leicester. And we've seen during his time in the Premier League, both with Everton and Watford, he's a bit of a streaky player. He blows hot and cold. So I feel that goal at the weekend will start a hot streak for him once again. He's particularly a fan of Marco Silva, the man who brought him to the Premier League originally and brought him to Everton. So I think he will start to find his best form. It's potentially that he may play up front as well in this game. Everton struggling with their out-and-out strikers for goals, so Richarlison could be utilised in that number 9 position. He's the obvious candidate for me, and if he is playing as a central striker, 4-1 to score any time, I think represents good value.
It does, and I'm actually going to edge towards Tom on this, to be honest with you. I think mainly as well because we're not sure who Liverpool are going to play in the start of the game. With so many fixtures coming up, of course, over December, Klopp may well decide to rotate. I think it's absolutely 100% nailed on that Richarlison will start for Everton and probably up front. And as Tom alluded to there, he does tend to score his goals in batches. And I think at 4-1, that looks like a very good value bet. Finally, we're going to have a look at potential long shots then for Wednesday's Merseyside derby. Aidan, what have you been looking at?
Yeah, I've gone for a correct score. So the nature of that is that it's always a long shot, really, to get a correct score nailed on. And I'm also going to go for a heavy home win. You might not be surprised to hear Liverpool to win 4-0. Now, it's 18-1. So, you know, the nature of it is that it's a long shot. We've said Liverpool haven't been playing that well or as well as they can be. They've been getting results. But you do think sooner or later they're going to have to really click into gear, and maybe a team is due a hammering, and maybe it's going to be Everton. With Mane playing really well, I've mentioned Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. There's definitely goals in the Liverpool team. They haven't kept a clean sheet at home all season. Again, law of averages, that's going to change sooner or later. It might well happen on Wednesday. 4-0 for Liverpool home win, 18-1.
OK, Tom, what are you looking at?
Well, I've gone for an Everton win to 0, which is 14-1, so slightly less odds than the 18-1 that Aidan's offering, but I think this is a real possibility. If Everton are going to win this game, I don't think it's going to be playing expansive football and fighting fire with fire against Liverpool. They're going to have to grind it out. They're going to have to be defensively strong, play on the counter-attack, and perhaps they can nick a 1-0 victory, something like that. Liverpool, as I mentioned, haven't been firing too much of late and are possibly due a blip in front of goal where one of their big-name players or doesn't bail them out, and with Mohamed Salah potentially not going to play in the game as well. I think this is a real opportunity for Everton. It might not be pretty, easy on the eye, anything like that, but I'm going for an Everton win to 0, which is, as I say, 14-1.
Well, I do agree with Tom that if they are going to win Everton, they're going to have to keep it tight, a la as they did against Leicester for a long period of the game on Sunday. But I just don't see Everton being able to keep a clean sheet with the attacking options that Liverpool have at their disposal. That's why I'm looking more towards Aidan's bet in terms of a long shot. Although, as I say, if Everton start well and keep Liverpool at bay for long periods, it could well be tighter than that. But an early goal goes in favour of the Reds, and Everton could well crumble on away turf across Stanley Park. That's our thoughts then on this big game on Wednesday night, Liverpool against Everton in the Premier League. Let us know your thoughts on our social media channels, and of course make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.